My 24F, partner 25M, doesn't know if he loves me, concerned he has BPD. What can I do? There is so much happening, and I genuinely hope I am doing justice to both of us in sharing this. Please feel free to ask for clarifications, because I assure you I am likely to overlook some details. I am a 24-year-old female, and my partner is a 25-year-old male. We have been in a relationship for 5.5 years, but we have known each other since we were 14 or 15. We attended school together and briefly dated in high school. However, I ended that relationship because he was experiencing psychosis, and I could not handle the unpredictable nature of his behavior. He was a friend to me, and I harbored feelings for him over the years until we reconnected and began dating. I will admit that I was in an open relationship with my previous partner, who is 23 years old, when I started dating my current partner. At that time, I was 19, my ex was 18, and my partner was 20. My ex refused to accept a breakup, and I was too naive to realize that he thought we were still together while I believed I had moved on. For 2 months, I dated my current partner while being on a break with my ex. My ex lived in Florida, and I was in Texas, and there was no physical intimacy or romantic involvement. I am unsure why he insisted on continuing our relationship. My current partner told me he understood and was okay with the situation. However, he now uses that period as a point of contention in every argument, treating it as if I had cheated on him with my ex. This is largely due to an incident 3 months after I broke up with my ex, when he sent me an inappropriate photo to inform me he was home for the holidays and suggested I visit him. I promptly blocked him and only communicated with him once afterward to tell him to leave my best friend alone. Later on in our relationship, I spent time with a friend who had feelings for me. Initially, I did not realize he had a crush on me, but once I figured it out, I ensured to only hang out with him in groups of 2 or more. This friend visited my house alone, took me by surprise, and confessed his feelings for me before leaving for Qatar to join the army. My partner regularly brings this up during arguments, accusing me of being intimate with this friend, despite my direct inquiries about whether he wanted me to cease communication with him, to which he consistently replied, "No." Another situation involved both of us deciding to avoid a mutual friend because he was making inappropriate comments and suggesting threesomes on several occasions. The friend primarily involved my partner and this guy's girlfriend without including me. A couple of weeks later, I stopped by the friend's house to pick up some mushrooms for my partner and me to enjoy a nice Valentine's Day experience together. I was there for only about 5 or 10 minutes as the friend sought my advice regarding his girlfriend, who at that time was being unfaithful. All of these situations are often thrown back in my face. The most recent incident with the inappropriate friend occurred 2.5 years ago, while the others date back 5 years. I have had to cope with some of my partner's more recent betrayals, yet these past events continually linger over me. During that time, he has reached out to his ex and spread false information about me. He has experienced 2 psychotic breaks, and in September, I intervened to prevent him from taking his own life. I put my safety at risk to accomplish this, as he had a firearm that I wrestled away from him. He threatened to take me with him if I did not leave, so I physically took the gun to ensure neither of us could get hurt. I involved the police, who helped stabilize him and took him to a mental health facility. During his time there, I managed to retain his job while he was institutionalized and ensured our apartment was maintained by depleting my entire savings. I also contacted his mother to establish someone he could trust. To minimize any distress for him, I moved in with my grandparents, fearing he would harbor resentment toward me for controlling him to the extent that he could not even die on his own terms. When he was discharged from the institution, he acknowledged that I had acted rightly throughout the ordeal. He expressed that I am his best friend and an incredible partner, assuring me that he loved and wanted to marry me, even if my mental health struggles, which include PTSD with psychotic features and obsessive-compulsive tendencies, did not improve. I have made significant progress in my recovery, but I still grapple with my need for reassurance and my fears of being taken advantage of. I understand this may be frustrating for him, but I have come a long way from the confused 19-year-old drowning in psychosis. Recently, in couples therapy, our therapist introduced the concept of active listening. I was asked to go first, and my partner would have a chance to listen in our next session. One aspect required us to express our needs and provide examples when those needs were unfulfilled. I mentioned a situation where he chose to ignore me in favor of playing video games with a flirtatious woman online. I explained that I needed honesty because he had previously lied about not spending time with her anymore, to ease my worries. He suggested that he could be steadfast for me, reliable and truthful. Upon returning home, he accused me of being accusatory and criticized me for not using enough I statements, claiming I placed all the blame on him. I explained that it was difficult to express my feelings using I statements because his actions directly contributed to my inability to trust him. He responded with an outburst, alternating between ignoring me to playful wrestling and tickling, then leaving and slamming the door while calling me various names. I maintained my composure, and when he left me alone, I refrained from engaging with him. When he chose to interact with me, I adopted a passive demeanor. He accused me of being terrible for my previous actions, insisting that I never changed and was a hypocrite for setting boundaries and expectations for him. I simply listened and validated his feelings, not defending myself due to fatigue from the conversation. He insulted and berated me before ignoring me entirely. Knowing he has an avoidant personality, I gave him space and refrained from pushing him. During this exchange, I expressed my love for him, and he responded with, "Yep, you sure do." When I asked if he loved me, he replied, "I don't know." Feeling overwhelmed, I began to dissociate, retreating to our room to collect my thoughts and regain a sense of reality. A half-hour later, he burst through the door. He seized my phone from my hands and rummaged through my belongings, tossing them on the ground as he watched me pick them up. He fixated on me, even grappling with me for my phone, which occurred over several hours. At one point, I inquired why he was throwing my phone around. He said he thought it would be amusing if it broke. My therapist noted that he was demonstrating age regression behavior, akin to a child's tantrum, likely experiencing a mental health episode. I concurred. At some point, I relinquished my phone to him. He continued to throw it about. I decided to get some fresh air and went to a local convenience store, leaving my phone with him. Upon returning home, he was glaring at me, as if trying to peer into my soul. He handed my phone back, and I sensed he had done something to it. However, I chose not to engage with him. Instead, I started working on my computer while he gazed intensely at me. Eventually, when he left to play video games, I checked my phone and discovered he had deleted every photograph of us over the past 6 years. I cried momentarily, then went to our room to play Xbox to distract myself. I did not have the resources for a hotel, and my family was all asleep. It was 3 a.m. I inquired about his intentions, and suddenly he switched to a state of tears. He expressed he did not want to end our relationship, but claimed that my anxiety was too overwhelming for him and that I had not changed, and was a poor partner who had failed to demonstrate my value as both a partner and a friend. He expressed uncertainty about his feelings for me and whether he envisions a future with me. I am feeling numb. He is acting completely normally now, affectionate and cheerful. I am emotionally detached. I do not wish to be anything more for someone who is unsure about wanting me. I put my life at considerable risk to protect him from his own actions, and I moved back into our apartment out of recognition of the progress he was making. Both my therapist and I are concerned he may be experiencing borderline personality disorder, and that the antidepressant he is on may have limited efficacy with that particular disorder. His demeanor remains unpredictable. Following this incident, I had a pregnancy scare, which occurred immediately afterward, and suddenly he was eager to embrace fatherhood and refer to me as a potential good mother, adding, "But it is your choice." He has been searching through my phone and computer and continues to perform acts of kindness while holding back information, saying that when you leave, your next boyfriend will be clueless about how I do this. I believe he may be in the midst of an episode, battling severe paranoia. This is similar to how I felt during my untreated period. His pupils are frequently dilating, and he is staying up unusually late, either not sleeping at all or sleeping excessively 12 hours or more. Has anyone dealt with a similar situation? What was the outcome? What steps should I take? I'm considering reaching out to his caseworker. I do not want him to suffer under the impression that I do not care about him when, in reality, I am simply worried. I am exhausted and deeply depressed. Leaving this situation will not resolve my feelings, yet I am at a loss for how to proceed. Story 2. I'm gay 39M and have been in a friend-relationship with my straight best friend for 6 years 36M, but I think it's time to part ways. Before I start what is likely to be an extensive post, I want to acknowledge that people only treat us in ways we permit, so I recognize my role in the predicament I find myself in. This marks my first post on Reddit, so you can imagine I'm somewhat at the end of my tether. Please prepare your snacks and beverages. 6 years ago, I formed a friendship with a colleague who most people believe is gay. And initially, I had a negative impression of him due to his snobby gay demeanor, despite the occasional small talk we shared. However, he attended one of my performances, I Am a Musician, and brought along his girlfriend at the time. This was in 2019. A few weeks later, she betrayed him, and he began reaching out to me for advice or to express his feelings, which marked the beginning of our friendship. During this period, he posed the question, if I become involved with a transgender woman, does that make me gay? And as I advise all my heterosexual male friends, I responded, no, it does not. Trans women are women, just of a different type. Being gay means being exclusively attracted to the same sex. I am unsure if anything happened between them. He claims nothing did, but I question that assertion. Nonetheless, our friendship flourished into outings and shared drinks, and all of his close friends are lesbians, alongside another gay male friend. He also has 2 heterosexual best friends, 1 female and 1 male, whom he has known since high school. One evening, we were quite inebriated from our preferred drink, sangritas, and he started showing me pictures of himself from high school. Then, quite unexpectedly, he said, I know you will enjoy this, and proceeded to show me a video of him engaging in self-pleasure while in bed. I was, well, shocked. To this day, when I mention it, he tends to gloss over the incident. We often hung out at my place, enjoying drinks and movies, and he would make remarks such as, I've never had anyone just take my pants off and give me oral sex. As a homosexual man, I've never pursued men who appear heterosexual. I tried once with a friend because I sensed a connection, and it ruined our friendship. However, to me, these were unmistakable indications that he desired something sexual between us, but I never acted on it. Our friendship evolved into a deep bond, yet I started noticing peculiar behaviors. He often referred to me as babe, my corazon, or my love. When he inquired about my birthday wish in 2020, I indicated I wanted to dine at a renowned steakhouse, and he spent $300 on me. When I shared photos of us together, people began to comment, you both look great together, and you appear so happy together. Although he was dating and engaging with women, we began spending the majority of our time together, and our conversations took on more intimate and couple-like tones. I believe we have exchanged, I love you more than many married couples do, and he has described in detail how he would dominate me sexually on numerous occasions. My feelings began to deepen, and I sensed his did as well, but he always dismissed the things he said as mere jokes. During this time, he got a woman pregnant from a one-night stand and has been dealing with the complexities of baby mama drama since the conception of his son, a wonderful child whom he and our friends affectionately refers to as my stepson. I have supported him from the very beginning. 3 years ago, one night, I was at his home during one of our date nights, enjoying drinks and watching Love, Simon after dinner. When it was bedtime, I lay on his couch and he was on his bed, facing the living room while we talked. Since we were both awake and shouting across the hallway, I ventured into his room, for the first time, and sat on his bed frame to facilitate our conversation, ensuring to maintain some distance. However, I could sense it made him uneasy, and we ended up arguing, during which I revealed my feelings are feelings, and he told me, I do not feel that way about you. I left Brooklyn at 3 a.m., tears streaming down my face, and we did not speak for a week, the longest period of silence we had experienced. In retrospect, I realize this should have been my breaking point, but when you are in love, sometimes you become a bit irrational, and we resumed speaking, continuing our complicated dance, but it escalated. Our conversations became increasingly intimate, and I assumed the role of his wife, his labeling, not mine. I began calling him Daddy, a nickname he assigned himself. The affirmations became more intense. You're more of a woman than the women I date. You deserve the red carpet. You're my princess. One night, while at my home and when he was drunk, I asked him, "Have you ever wondered why people believe we're in love with each other, and why you haven't had a girlfriend since meeting me?" His reply was, "I toe a line and go only so far, but I just can't go any further." My analytical nature helped me comprehend what he meant. He desired this but felt unable to pursue it at that moment. He frequently tells me, "When I am ready for you, you will know." As you read this, you might think, "Why didn't you leave long ago?" I am a strong advocate for actions speaking louder than words. His actions have consistently conveyed, "I love you. I'm just not prepared to accept the way I love you." He has brought me happiness and has been the closest thing I have had to a genuine relationship. He is my best friend, and he often states, "If you were a woman, this would already be resolved." We have vacationed together for my birthday over the past 3 years, and naturally, everyone assumes he is gay. However, it is not because of me. It is simply his inherent disposition. Whenever I engage with other men in his presence, he becomes visibly jealous to the point that he leaves and wants to go home. Recently, we even had the conversation about what if we were together, and he jokingly remarked, "Well, you know you'd have to share me with other women." I responded, "I told you that you could have one once a month," to which he replied, "Honestly, I wouldn't do that to you because I would understand how long you have waited to be with me, and I would want to respect you." I have always perceived these moments as integral to our journey because this was our narrative. It was entirely unexpected, something neither of us sought, yet it has been one of the most stable and fulfilling relationships in our lives. Until recently. During the past 6 years, he has dated various women, but those relationships never endured. They always fizzle out. Naturally, I experience jealousy because I am his wife and we consider ourselves partners, yet those women never remain. However, I love him, I appreciate him, I support him. I fulfill all the roles a partner is expected to take on. I simply am not a woman. However, a month ago, he met a stunning woman online. She is 42 and he is 36. Something felt different about her. I sensed that she could potentially be the one for him. Through complex circumstances, she became aware of some of our messages, as we sought an outsider's perspective on his feelings for me and our relationship. The messages were decidedly explicit. One even involved him sending me a picture of his bulge through his sweatpants, yet they were also affectionate. Her exact response was, "If you hadn't told me this was the nature of your friendship, I would say there is some significant sexual tension here." We went out about 2 weeks ago, and she texted him, "How is your night going with your husband?" He replied, "Let me correct you, he is my wife." I thought, "Ma'am, do you not hear this? What is wrong with you?" But that is a discussion for another time. I realized she genuinely likes him. She is the first woman who has ever truly shown interest in him. I've come to the painful realization that I cannot endure this situation any longer. I cannot bear to see him happy with someone else, especially when my desire is to find happiness with him. That same evening, we were having drinks and laying everything on the table when he exclaimed, "I swear on my son, I've never met anyone who would make me consider a homosexual relationship." For some reason, that struck a chord with me. Perhaps it's because I'm approaching 40 in a few months and finally acknowledged that he has occupied a significant portion of my 30s. At that moment, it felt like something died between us, and indeed, it did. He shattered my hope for us someday. What kind of foolishness is it to love someone who straightforwardly tells me it will never happen? Moreover, after just 3 weeks of dating this woman, he informed me, "So I have a girlfriend now." This revelation occurred on Valentine's Day while we watched the latest Captain America movie. Our interactions have diminished. The phone calls have ceased. Yet, I still see him at work, and he did mention that his relationship with the new girlfriend isn't progressing as he had anticipated, which provides a small sense of relief. We share a beautiful friendship, but it feels as if we are unsure how to communicate with one another if we are not entrenched in this unconventional, pseudo-relationship dynamic. So, now that you have journeyed through this romantic saga, I ask, was it all merely a fantasy I conjured in my mind over the past 6 years? Did I invent these feelings he harbors for me? Have I been delusional, as he often claims, all along? Or am I in love with someone who, for reasons unknown, loves me too but cannot reconcile being gay? I do not wish to lose my best friend, yet I am also reluctant to harm myself now that my perspective has shifted. I have genuinely concluded that he is neither gay nor bisexual, but rather heterofluid. However, He does not subscribe to anything outside the black and white, so he likely lacks awareness of what heterofluidity truly entails. Thank you for your attention.